Superman issue 22, legacy number 865, Joshua Williamson writing with Dan Mora on the art. So this was alright. Like, I think this was a decent enough issue. Williamson's not ruined this arc yet, so that's fun. I will say, there was one thing a little bit that annoyed me at the start, but it wasn't like a big thing, but it just irked me. Not the opening page. The opening page is like Perry and his wife went on a double date with Jimmy and Silver Banshee. And that's whatever. But basically, the page ends with them seeing the armada of ships in the sky for the Aftermath team up of all these like Doomsday survivors. And there's a whole bit here where the leader of the team, Aftermath, comes out. He's got a name later. I can't remember what it is. But he comes out and he says, "Hey, Superman, we come in peace." And Lois is like, "You just said that you'd destroy the entire world if we don't hand over Doomsday." And all I could think was, from like a writing perspective, is that if you just didn't have them say that, if you just had the cliffhanger last issue be the ships show up and look intimidating, there might be some weight to him saying, "We come in peace. We're not actually, like we're here for Doomsday. We're not here to, attack the planet." It would have at least let you suspend your disbelief that they weren't going to be a threat. But because they said, "We'll kill you all if you don't give us Doomsday already," and then have Lois actually point it out, it just kind of felt weird to me. I'm like, why did you have them say that if you wanted to like tease the idea that maybe there will be no conflict?
Yeah, because I think it's to the point that Lois, being the truth seeker, right, is just like, well, no, they can say they come in peace, but they're not really in peace. They came in a gunship with guns pointed at us. That's not peace. But, so. But
I think the moment in a minute where she's like talking to him and catches out that he's not telling them stuff, and like catches the part where it sounds like, "Oh no, you've got an ulterior motive here. You want to use Doomsday as a weapon. You're no better than the people that built them if you actually want to use them as that." Kind of thing, like, because he says a big game, like, "Hey, we'll take Doomsday away. You'll never have to worry about him again." Like, is anyone life on Earth worth Doomsday possibly someday getting out of the Black Mercy trap you've got him in? Like, he's making not terrible points, but he's also being very vague about what they're actually going to do with them. He just says, "Oh, me and my people will take care of him. You'll never have to worry about him again." Yeah, but like, what are you doing? Like, if you kill him, he'll get stronger. If you put him in a place where you want to put him because you're going to be like mercenaries and you're just paid off to like destroy civilizations, so you just drop Doomsday in.
Drops Doomsday and we'll take him away. They create a problem that only they can solve.
And it's a racket. It's this
step 3 profit.
It's the mafia going around saying, "Hey, you're going to give us protection money from us,"
or there's going to be a fire.
Yeah.
What fire? This fire. And because I like where Lois goes. Well, there it is. After he says, "We have our ways, he'll be put to good use," and she's like, whoa. So I do like that Lois is the one that points that out.
Yeah. So yeah, it gets a little high tense a couple of moments when he's talking to Superman here. There's a little bit where he refers to Lois as your queen, and then when she actually like catches him out on like the lie, he's like, "Oh, my queen gets it. Like, go ahead, Superwoman," and then she sort of does the whole journalist speech. So so of course he decides, well, if that's what you really feel like, and all this light starts coming out of him, and he like turns into his natural form. I presume.
Yeah. So I did some digging, and there was a Dan Jurgens story that was told after the death and return of Superman.
Yeah, there's an editor's note in here for this.
Yep. About that, and so I went and dug into that. Kind of hard to find summaries of, but from what I can gather was on this planet of Calaton, they were one of the first ones that Doomsday took out, and they had created this hero who was known as the Radiant. And that's what this being is. I don't know if he is the Radiant that died and has now been revived because, as Lois says, there's no heartbeat. But I don't know if that's because he's a being of pure energy, right? But a version of the Radiant was killed by Doomsday, and that's where Superman is able to.
I've not read that Doomsday. Yeah, that Doomsday mini that this comes from. But if I was to make a guess, I would say that did they maybe make a being that keeps coming back like Doomsday does?
That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm guessing here. because I forget how that ended, or I didn't find out how it ended, but it did end with the death of the Radiant and Superman feeling like he kind of failed them. So again, this is one of those things where Superman's promises have come back that he couldn't keep. So now it's kind of representative of this, and that plays into the time trapper, Doomsday being like, this is all a mess. Just if you kill me and make me a god, this will all go away. So it almost feels like they're putting him into a Kobayashi Maru kind of scenario.
All right. So once he soups up and he's going to go and attack and go and get Doomsday, they call Supergirl, who's guarding Doomsday at the lab, and she's preparing to get things done. I have to point out here, right? I think the art's very hit and miss in this issue. There's a lot of weird panels with the faces looking odd, but then there's some panels that look pretty good, but it's definitely inconsistent. There is a very egregious weird error in the art on the page where Supergirl first appears. There's a funny moment in the book, right? It's because Mercy calls Lex Lexi, and Supergirl turns around and goes, Lexi? And they get embarrassed. It's a funny little beat, but the art, the artist has made this weird choice to have Supergirl. She sort of turns around and looks, and the hair's covering the eye, but the eye's still drawn in on top of the hair, and it just I'm not accusing them of actually doing this, but it looks like the type of mistake AI would make.
Yeah,
right.
I hear what you're saying.
I either have the hair, if seeing the eye is important for the expression, and I think it is, then just have the hair be a little bit nudged over, right? Just so you can see more of it. And what's worse, Matt? Do you know what's worse? They do it correctly a few pages later. See if you just go a few pages later. Right. Yeah, so it's the page where at the bottom of the page, Supergirl, it's not the exact same expression, but she's looking sort of in the same direction, and her hair's kind of going down the side of her eye. And it's not get the weird thing. It looks normal. It looks correct as it's supposed to. She says, that's that page, which is maybe 4 or 5 after the previous one. So they do it correct. They do a very similar pose where the eye is important to getting what the expression is, but it's achieved normally. This feels like there was a mistake where it was supposed to be scrubbed out on the original pen. He drew the whole thing in for the proportions to make sure it looked right, but then didn't erase the rest of the eye, and then the rest of the chain just never noticed it and just kept keeping it. They never went, oh, that's a mistake, that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, so what it looks like to me is that they had it where it was going to cover her eye, and then he realizes that he needed the eye for the expression, and they just never cleaned it up. And like you said, they didn't push the hair back over. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, and by the way, the one that you said a couple pages later, that's Lena. You could tell by the hair.
Is it?
Yeah.
You're right. Okay, well, I mean, regardless of who it is, though, it's the same thing.
Your point still stands that it's the same expression. You know what? Lena looks different enough in most of the other panels, but because it's a close-up and it's just the blonde hair, and you can see the S on the shoulder of the jacket, I thought it was Supergirl again. No, you're right. So basically, yes, Lexi and Mercy are kind of being. That is their couple name. Yeah. Funnily enough, this is Lexi.
Well, it's either that or Mercs.
Yep. That sounds like a drug. Yeah. Get on Mercs.
So the Super Family are all trying to protect the city from all the Armada and all that, and they're all shocked to look over and see that Doomsday has been broken out of his cell, but there's a big 2-page spread of Superman and Doomsday fighting back to back against the Armada. And this moment conflicts me a little bit, because I get that they wanted the visual of this is weird, Superman and Doomsday fighting side by side, but it's also kind of strange because I wouldn't really call it fighting side by side. They happen to be kind of on the same side, but Doomsday is literally killing people right behind Superman right now. Superman's not approving of this.
No, he is straight up tearing guys in half, and Superman's tried not to hurt them. So yeah, they
Look, if
temporarily have a similar cause, but they're doing it in different ways.
Yeah. If it was a real team up, then I would expect somehow Doomsday has agreed on a no killing rule for a little bit. Like, you know, it's like, okay, we'll work together this time, and that means no killing, right? Not that I would. I'm not saying this current Doomsday would speak like that, but hey, it's only a couple of pages later we're getting a smart Doomsday from the future, your time trapper. So clearly it's on the cards at some point.
Yeah.
So Silver Banshee is holding up Jimmy so that he can try and get a photo of Superwoman, because Jimmy thinks that Lois has been distracted because she's upset that they can't get a photo of Superwoman. So he's determined to get one, even though that's exactly what she's trying to avoid. And yeah, the Radiant, is that what he's called?
Yep, the Radiant. He goes straight for Jimmy.
Yeah, he sees Jimmy, says, okay, that's a civilian, I'm going to go kill him to prove my point to Superman. But then time freezes and the blast like stops right in front of him, and Lois turns round and sees Time Trapper, old Doomsday, who says, "Hey, you're Lois Lane. Maybe you could, make the right decision that'll help save Superman, because Superman's not willing to listen to me." So it says next time Time Trapper versus Superwoman, which is an interesting cliffhanger, I guess. So I think this is a decent issue. I think there's some fun moments. I think the conversation between the Radiant and Superman and Lois is pretty well done. The funny stuff with Lex and Mercy, cliffhanger is pretty solid. It's just some wonky art here or there with that one particularly egregious eye sticking out. But it's still kind of in this place where I kind of like the concept of this arc enough that it's carrying it, but I do think there is like a better execution that is possible of it. So I'm liking it, but I'm liking it with kind of like a reserved.
Yeah, no, there's definitely the like as you pointed out, seeing Superman and Doomsday back to back, regardless if they are that close, it is a very cool image to show you how dire the situation is, and that Superman's preservation of life seems to be important enough that he's willing to save Doomsday from these guys, yet as Doomsday's tearing them in half. Like, it's a very complex and funny image to me. But yeah, ultimately by the time we get to the end, I think I'm more interested in Time Trapper and Lois, and how is he going to pitch this to her? Because as we've seen, she thinks about things a bit differently than Clark.
Yeah, for sure.
So, how is she going to react to the same kind of question that Time Trapper gave him? So yeah.
Yeah. All right, what are you giving Superman?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7. Yeah. For Williamson's run, this is pretty solid. Like, I wasn't mad, right? You have a lot of nitpicks, sure, but I wasn't mad. Yeah. So, call that a win.